Your life doesn't suck. You're just ungrateful. Ooh. Hi, I'm Maya. I'm the Renaissance heroine, and I'm here to help you grow. Maybe it really is just your mind. No matter the situation, when you have gratitude for the present moment, and that's the key, being present in the moment, living right now, grateful for the moment right now, that is your life. Any life ahead, any life that happened isn't existing right now. So if you can think right now, my life doesn't suck. You can be in shitty situations though, too. Like there are shitty things that happen, but there are ways to even reframe those as to not say my life sucks, everything is horrible, but rather like, wow, like I get to feel this new emotion, or I get to feel this difficult thing. I get to learn something that I never would have known before from this difficult situation. Even like the worst things that can happen are lessons that you may be able to help somebody else. Present is to live in the right here, right now, and not to ingratiate and cringe over the past or to work yourself into anxious convulsions about the future, but instead to look at the moment you're currently living in, acknowledge to yourself that right now, everything is fine. And it works every single time, because the truth is, if you actually were in dire straits and things were not all right, you would be completely numb. There would be no agonizing or convulsing because you would be in fight or flight. There would be no feelings involved. They don't exist in those experiences, only action when you're truly in dire conditions. It's only after the experience has occurred and you reflect on it and you begin to feel, and this is that you begin to feel what's happened. And this is really fortunate for us because our body helps us when we are in these difficult or sensitive situations to focus solely on the matter at hand. It stores the experience for us in our body, like the body keeps the score. I'm sure you've heard of that book, that concept. It stores the experience for us for later, where we then will get to feel it once things have settled down. And so returning to the present moment, when things are so wrong and so bad, a common and kind of rudimentary therapy practice is to go with the 5 things you can see, the 4 things you can feel, the 3 you can hear, 2 you can touch, 1 you can taste, or whatever. I don't know if that's exactly right, but that concept that brings you out of a spiraling mind and into your feeling body. And once you're there, you turn the focus onto the feeling itself. I do this by having a conversation with myself about the feeling. Because when I was younger, I would cry, like when I was a little kid. And the first thing my parents would say, why are you crying? Naturally. Naturally, they want to fix the problem. And then sometimes I wouldn't know. And with that, especially my father would get very angry and say, like, you don't even know why you're crying. So that's ridiculous that you're crying. And I had that really ingrained into me. And that taught me that instead of feeling my feelings, I should intellectualize my feelings and try to think my way out of a feeling. But that's not really how that works. You're still going to feel what you feel, even if it's justified or not justified, whatever somebody else might say. You feel how you feel, and then that expression comes out. That can come out in a more positive way, or it can come out by yelling, crying, things like that. And that was something I struggled with for a long time. Like I would just cry when anything difficult would happen. Sometimes it still happens. Like sometimes it just becomes so overwhelming that I'll begin to cry. And usually the crying doesn't last more than like 30 seconds, I would say. I feel the feeling. I cry for about 30 seconds and then I go into action mode, like problem solving. Let's figure it out. Let's fix it. What can I do? And I get out of it. So when I'm not crying, I start by having a conversation with myself. Actually, even when I am crying, I start by having a conversation with myself about what are you feeling right now? Just what is the feeling? Okay, pain. Pain. I feel pain. I feel a heaviness in my chest. And I go, okay, well, I ask myself, what does it feel like? And for me, usually when I'm like in pain or this heartbreak or anything, it feels like a prickling in my chest, like prickling, like it feels like something is like, not like stabbing me, but just like little prickles in my chest, a discomfort, and then prickling in my eyes, like I could cry. And then I'm like, okay, you can cry if you want to. Okay, cry. I cry about 30 seconds, like I said. And then it goes away. Like if I just let myself cry instead of trying to bottle it all up, I can let it go. Whereas if you feel like you have to contain your feeling and you can't let it out in any way. I had a boyfriend, my ex-boyfriend. this was like a big part, I think, of why our relationship didn't work, was because he did not like this method. And when I would cry, usually I cry and then it's over. But with him, it wouldn't stop. And he would make it worse, I would say. Like, he would do the kind of thing my dad would do, being like, why are you crying? How could you do this? You're making me feel bad by crying. It's inappropriate for you to cry. All of these things. You can't cry every day. That's wrong. That's a disorder. And it's like, yeah, if you're crying for hours upon hours every day, which there was a time in my life where I was extremely depressed, and I would just cry and cry and cry for a long time and not process anything. But crying can actually be a way to process your feelings. And I found that really works for me. And yeah, it's when it becomes extensive and excessive, it can become a major symptom of, it can be a symptom of a problem. But if it's as a used as a tool to release and to express emotion, it can be very beautiful, it can be very cathartic. And so I cry, and then I go, well, what are you feeling now? Usually still sad at that point, but it doesn't prickle in my heart anymore. I don't feel that like physical prickling sensation. It's usually just like a dull ache, and it starts slowly fading away. Okay? And notice how through none of that conversation did I ask myself, why do you feel this way? The why can't even accurately come to you until after the emotion has been felt. That was the problem with my dad and with my ex-boyfriend about my crying, was they would falsely assume, well, actually they would somewhat truthfully assume that I didn't know why I was crying. Yeah, I didn't know why I was crying in the moment. It was only after it happened and I felt what I felt that I could go through it and start problem solving and start logically thinking through why exactly I was crying. Throughout all of that beginning, it's really just about being present and feeling what you feel. And then beyond that, then you can start asking yourself the questions. Why do you feel this way? What is making you feel sad? Do you know? And whatever it was, I was thinking about my ex. I was thinking about our relationship. A song came on and it reminded me that we both loved that song and that we would share it and that we would share our love of that song. And then more questions start to come up. Well, do you wish you were still together? No. No. I mean, we shared that song. We shared like artistic love for music and for literature and for things like that. But that doesn't make up for all of the things we weren't compatible on. Okay, well, there you go. And because that's the thing about like mourning and grief, it's not all at once. You don't just like grieve a person all at once. It's all of these little bits. And in that moment, this was a real life experience, obviously. I was grieving, yeah, that thing we shared, our artistic and creative mind, because I was feeling slightly upset in the days prior that I didn't feel like I had many friends lately that I could share that with. And so I miss that part of my ex-boyfriend who was my best friend. But I do this all the time now. And it's the only way that I've been able to learn to regulate my emotions. Yeah, for a while I felt very shameful about any kind of crying. Like I should never do it because people told me that it was like childish. But now I know that it's not. Modeling the feeling as it needs to be expressed is always a good thing. Sometimes people compare it to like when men punch walls and do stuff like that. Okay, hot take. I don't think that's bad. I mean, okay, I think it's bad to punch a wall or to punch a person. But I think if men are having difficult emotions and crying isn't their outlet and they want to punch something, yeah, they should get a punching bag in their garage and punch the shit out of it. That seems so great, actually. And I think people turn it and they're like, well, that's violent. I'm like, it's literally not violent because a punching bag isn't a person. And I think if somebody is willing to get a punching bag and invest in that because they know that this is an emotional outlet for them so that they don't break their walls or like hurt people, that seems like a sign of maturity, in fact, rather than just trying to hold everything in and be stoic. It's interesting. When I was writing this script, I was also like evaluating my feelings then. Like as I was writing, I was like, how do I feel? And I was feeling, it says, passionate, excited, and peaceful, writing in the quiet hours of the night. And it dawns on me how grateful I am that I don't have to wake up incredibly early tomorrow, that I can write this from the comfort of my bed, and how fortunate I feel to have these thoughts flowing through me right now that I can share. Even right now, as it's getting very meta because you're like kind of looking behind the curtain of how this is all coming to me. But even right now, as I sit here, like, oh, I didn't want to set up the tripod. I didn't want to I had to walk up the stairs like 3 times. I kept forgetting things to come film outside, but eventually I made it here. And now I'm looking out onto the trees. I'm hearing the rustling of the leaves. I'm hearing the birds chirp. It's warm out. And I'm like, life is perfect in this moment. And I don't have to worry about what's come before, what's coming later. I have a busy weekend, but I can just be present right now and acknowledge how beautiful and good life is. This gratitude can come with any emotion. And it's when we lack gratitude that people become bitter. And that bitterness seeps into every aspect of your life because work becomes unfulfilling, relationships become irritating, and everyday beauty becomes dull and taken for granted. If you're alive and breathing, if you have your needs met, water, food, shelter, and other people, you have everything to be grateful for. Everything else is ego. Ooh. Which I don't think is always a bad thing. Like, ego is good to motivate you to achieve if that's something you want to do. But it's when those egoic desires turn into a need. You try to tell yourself, I need this to happen. I need this to go this way. That you start stepping out of the present and into the future of something you cannot control. And so that creates that bitterness and resentment that can easily slip in and make you feel like your life is shit, basically. If you're not getting all your needs, right, that are really just your egoic desires, but you're calling them your needs met. So I urge you to remember your good fortune. You're watching this right now, right, on an iPhone or a computer or an iPad. Just even that in itself, you have electricity in your house. Take a new perspective on bad luck, because when something isn't going your way, you have to remember that you actually have no idea what you're being protected from. That if something had gone your way, what would have happened? Like, God's plan is always going to be greater than anything I could ever imagine. Like, that's it. Everything I've ever tried to plan or like go for, it's like, it's never better than the things that just flow to me naturally. And that's why the dating app thing is so bad too, and why God hates dating apps. I should have named the video that. God hates dating apps. But yeah, your life is good. Be grateful for it. Because your life is the present moment. So right now, if you can breathe through your nose, if you don't have a cold, your life is good. If you're not hungry, your life is good. If you're not thirsty, your life is good. If you have love for the people around you, a shelter, people that take care of you, or just people that care for you and love you, you have everything to be grateful for, and nothing to feel bitter about, because nothing is promised. Only the present moment is promised, so you might as well make it good. That's my video. A little bit of a shorter one today, but I just wanted to talk about that because, yeah, gratitude is the key to everything. To unlocking your greatest happiness comes from gratitude. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, if you like what I'm saying, just give me a like and a subscribe. Yeah, keep following. I'm excited to keep improving the videos. That's all I can do is just try to improve every week. So yeah, all right, bye bye.